that. They were within a goal early in the third, and you just sort of turned it on from there. What was the difference, do you think, there?
Yeah, we did start the game a little bit slower than we'd like, so we didn't probably hit the ground running. Credit to Richmond as well. They brought really good pressure and were, really intent on making sure they defended well. So that kept the scoreboard tight. They persisted, obviously, through there, but I just sort of felt like we needed to energise the game a bit. Just felt like we're probably playing a little bit too conservative and a little bit safe. So half-time, we were able to sort of talk about that and how we correct some of the contest. Gives a little bit more territory in the game, but that wasn't its main issue. It was probably more just how do we want to energise the game. And, fortunately, we were able to... First 5 minutes didn't look so good after half-time, I've got to say. There was plenty of mistakes. But fortunately, the boys stayed really present and didn't sort of labour on the mistakes too much and kept trying to play the right way. And, in the end, we were able to find our way through it.
Scored a lot of turnover.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's been something that we've been gradually working away at. But again, I think it was 96 points off turnover, wasn't it? So it's, that's a big number to be able to have that. And it's been well spoken about, but we've talked a lot about our stoppage and our contest, and we know we've got that, and we can go that if needed. But to be able to have a better balance in our game now, to ask a question a different way of the opposition, that's an important attribute to be able to have moving forward. So, if we're going to have a say in this competition, then you've got to have a little bit better balance, and I feel like we've had that for the majority of the year.
You mentioned energised the game there. You kicked 8, 5, 9 goals in the last fourth quarters. What do you put that down to?
I think the guys are just sort of believing somewhat in how we're trying to play. And like anything, when you see it once, it's good. When you see it twice, you get a little bit of confidence of it. You start to see it a few more times and a belief starts to grow. And the boys know and should be building some confidence out the back end of the games that they can play that style of football if needed. We're not necessarily doing it from a negative position. We're doing it from a positive position. And we just want to keep playing with that courage and make sure we play that game strong and try and challenge opposition right to the end.
You must have been pleased getting a bunch of goals from the small forward in the way they actually share the ball around.
Yeah, our two big guys cop a lot of attention, and so they should. And we've been trying to work out what that forward line looks like and how many threats we have down there, and probably been accused of not having enough, and we've acknowledged that, but we've also got two pretty good forwards there that do know how to kick goals. But when it's not their day, who joins in? And so being able to share the load over the course of the last month, I reckon, has been particularly impressive. So Zach Williams being able to hit the scoreboard, Fogarty kicks 3, Fantasia I was really pleased with, kicks 4. Raz has been doing a role for us that's been somewhat unheralded and probably unnoticed in a lot of ways, but he's just stuck at it, hasn't got desperate, believed in the job he had to get done, and he hit the scoreboard today. Won't always work out like that, but it certainly did today, and I'm probably missing a couple there as well. So, Sincotta hits the scoreboard late, so getting a few goal kickers on the floor, that's going to be pretty important for us.
You're no superstars, and that's no disrespect those small forwards, but there's a bit of pressure for spots down there.
Yeah, well, we hope so. Certainly, building to the back half of this year and having players return, that builds momentum when you've got players that are in form, and then you've got guys that are obviously trying to vie for that position as well. So it creates some really good internal drive, I reckon, some internal competition, but also understanding that, we prioritise those roles. And I've spoken about it before, but we give status to those roles and we want to keep celebrating them. And, today was one of those days where it wasn't so much the talls marking it, but the smalls were able to get have some impact in the game.
Zach Williams is quite emotional in there. How important has he been to the group, and how good's his story been, I guess, to transform into what he's doing now?
Yeah, I think with Zachy's story, it's, when I first got here is, obviously struggled with the body and trying to get out on the park. And, for Zach, a lot of the stuff he's done has been around his footy and how he's formed his identity as a person has been, playing football, but family always been really important to him, and he's had some real off-field challenges, and then football was taken away from him for a while, and I think he's really gone to work on himself, and he's got a unbelievable understanding around gratitude and perspective now, and who he is as a person, and the family that he has, and the people who back him, and so his journey's been a pretty special one to watch, and to sort of see where he's at now, and the joy that he's got on his face, and the smile he has, and seeing his family out there today was a pretty special moment. And he's a very important person to us, and continue to be so.
How important is he as a player, the way he's turned into a goal kicker?
Yeah, I said it's nice to actually have someone who celebrates a goal more than Matty Owies. So it's actually finally nice to see. So we've got someone in there with a little bit of the creative gene that doesn't mind bringing a bit of excitement, putting a smile on faces. So whenever I see those, and I see the boys and how they're coming together as a forward line, that brings a smile on my face.
Tom McConney, you rested. What was the story behind that, and how's he doing for next week?
No, the bigger picture is that we're asking him probably play big minutes. Certainly in the last month we have, and he was just too sore. Like we got to yesterday, and he was just still really sore from last week's game, and so we took a conservative approach, and we had a ruckman that could come in and play his aggressive best, and I thought Pito really sort of stuck out his guns for most of the game, and in the second half was able to sort of have a bit of a say on what happened there. So it was nice and he deserved it as well. But being able to take that squad mentality and have a next man in is a pretty handy next man in. But I guess we'll get Tom back next week. But yeah, to be able to have the week off and probably rest a few bruises, not a bad thing.
Chero came off. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. So we'd sort of done some pre-planning that if we were in a position to do so, we had Hewitt, who's been in pretty good form himself, to be honest. So we just felt like it was a bit of a like for like, and if we could just manage his load in the game, we would. But yeah, he'd be fine to go from here.
Kennedy came off as well.
Yeah, he's a medial, so we don't really know in the knees. So yeah, we don't know how the extent of that just yet. But yes, it'll definitely be a medial. We just don't know the significance of it yet.
When you're taking someone like Chero off, do you weigh up giving Cripps a rest at certain times?
Nah, keep him going. He's keeping going. So I think he would have torn my head off, Cripper, if I took him off at that particular time. You've got to be really careful what you do there. But no, look, we had some pre-planning. Obviously, those things are always discussed, but we're just in that fortunate position, and we didn't have to. Adam's done all the work throughout the last 6 or 7 weeks to get himself ready. So it wasn't like we needed to, but we just sort of felt like with the game, with where it was and what we could replace it with, it was a bit of an easier decision to make. It's been pretty impressive. Look, I think he's playing with an element of freedom. He gets to concentrate on his job, knowing that he's got men around him that are going to get their jobs done, and I don't feel like he's overreaching. He's just sticking at his job, and he trusts the people around him, and he's got some bigger goals in mind, Cripper, and but he's you can just sort of see that his energy that he brings during the week. I think his leadership's been outstanding this year. What he does behind the scenes and the standards he's trying to drive, and he's as determined as anyone to get the best out of this group, and he wants success for this football club, and you can sort of see it in the way that he's playing. Cheers. No worries.